there have been times that I've been in crisis situations, both in the healthcare delivery system and in business, both when I've had to make a choice to either focus on what I don't know or focus on what I do know, because I've looked around the room at times and thought, my God, if people knew how much I don't know about where we are and where we're going, they would throw me overboard. But
Wow.
then I've also thought, on the other hand, as much as I don't know, what I do know is so much more than what the other people in the room know that while there's still a lot to learn, I know more and I have the courage to implement that more than anybody else in the room. They're right to be looking to me to say, what do we do next? Somebody's got to take the lead. They're right to be looking at me to do that, even though I'm sitting here thinking, I'm astounded at how little I know about this. It's still more than anybody else knows.
Okay, I love that. And I love that people got to hear you say that. We're like, wait a second, Dr. Phil knows everything. He's super confident. He's got all the
Yeah,
information.
right.
I love that you said that though, because it's true. And I've never heard it say like that. I'm going to have to steal that from you. I'll always give you credit, but you know more than the most people in the room. And so you're just going to pull from that, even though you had that thought, I don't know as much as I might need to know right now, but you didn't dwell on that. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, and that's where the courage comes in, because I'm a pilot and I've been in practice in hospitals and stuff. And I've been in situations where somebody needed to make a decision right now and everybody's looking at each other. No, somebody needs to make a decision right now. And nobody wants to own that and be responsible for it. I think one of the things that has contributed to my success over the last 21 years on the air is a willingness to take a position. I've
Yes.
always told people, listen, go get a second opinion, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. And if what I say won't stand up to challenge, throw it out by all means. But I am going to tell you what I think. I'm going to give you my best understanding of this situation as I know it now. Might change it later, but I'm going to give you the best knowledge I have right now today, and I'm going to have the courage to step up and tell you what that is. Like you said, that's not confidence. It's not knowing everything. It's just having the conviction to say, I'm going to give you the best I have. And, Maya Angelou said it best. She said, you did what you knew how to do, and when you knew better, you did better.
Yes.
We're all that way. You made your first content, you look back at it and say, this was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, when you knew better, you did better.
Exactly. And, while you were saying that, it reminded me of another insecurity that comes up, especially with a lot of women who are just getting started with their own businesses. They don't have all the answers. Nobody does. And so we start to think, but what if I mess up? What will people think? It's not necessarily that we're fearful of starting something new, which that could be part of it for sure, but it takes it a little farther. What if I do this and I crash and burn or mess up? What will people think of me? This is another reason why people don't go out on their own. Many women don't go out on their own. And I had all of these feelings as well. Here's how ridiculous mine was. I used to, when I first left my 9 to 5 job with Tony Robbins and I went out on my own, I was making all these videos to post on YouTube and I posted none of them. And one day my husband came in and he's like, why aren't you posting these videos? You're making them all day long. You need to get yourself out there. You need clients. And I said, I'm so scared about what my old coworkers are going to think, or I'm so scared what Tony Robbins is going to think when he sees my videos. And so I can't do it. And he's like, babe, I love you so much, but I got to give you some tough love. Tony Robbins is not watching your videos. He does not care. He's building an empire. And your coworkers are busy with their own lives. They don't care as much as you think they do. I think we care so deeply about what other people think of us, or like making a decision and it's the wrong one. And what are they going to say? What are they going to do? That we don't do anything. And I learned early on that if they're not paying the bills, they don't get an opinion. So sure, I might make a bad move online. I might make the wrong decision. I've got to course correct. But anyone who has opinion about that, if they're not paying my bills, if they're not living my life, they don't get an opinion over what I do. And the minute we let go of that fear of what everyone else is going to think of us, we're going to act more courageously and get into motion.
Yeah, my dad said it really well. He said, you wouldn't worry so much about what people thought of you if you knew how seldom they did.
I love that. That's essentially what my husband Hobie was trying to say. They're not thinking of you. And I thought everyone had their eyes on me. No one did in the beginning.
Yeah, trust me. They got enough going on in their own life to be worrying about what video you're posting or not posting.
Amen. So true.
And for the people that it resonates with, they're glad you did. Now, you have some things that you talk about, tips to navigate the 5 most common boss traps, and one of them is superwoman syndrome. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So superwoman syndrome is believing that you have to do all of it on your own, that you have to wear all the hats. And in the beginning, when you create a business, one thing I talk about in 2 weeks notice is you will be wearing a lot of hats for a season of entrepreneurship in the beginning. But the minute you start to get a little traction is when you need to hire. And it's the scariest thing that most women don't want to ask for help. They don't want to have to show that they can't do it all. And like, especially in motherhood, that so many women are doing it all in motherhood. They know they're doing a good job, or at least they know they can keep it all together. So they take that into entrepreneurship and they do the same thing. Well, the truth is you will never scale a business. You will never make as much money as you deserve. You will never make that impact if you do it all alone. So what I teach my students early on is the minute we start making a little money, we're going to reinvest in helping have someone help us, like a virtual assistant, an assistant that can do a lot of the admin stuff. But thinking you can do it all on your own literally will keep you playing small. You absolutely cannot make a big splash in your business on your own. So take that off of yourself. Take the pressure off that you've got to do it all alone. Here's another quick boss trap that comes up. So one, superwoman syndrome, and we're all going to agree we don't have to do it all on our own, and that's not how you build a business. Another one that comes up is once you get out on your own, you still act like an employee. So there's this concept I teach in my book called unbossing yourself. You have to learn to unboss, meaning step into I'm the boss, let go of I'm the employee. I had a really, really hard time with this. So when I went out on my own, I started to do social media for small businesses. So I had a bunch of clients. And all of a sudden I realized I have like 8 bosses. I have literally stepped back into employee mode. You need it tomorrow? Great. I'll get it to you today. You tell me to jump? I say how high. I was literally just operating like an employee. And what happened was I had no boundaries. I was working my life away and I hated the business I created. I hated the position I put myself in. So how do you unboss yourself? How do you go out on your own and not step right back into being an employee? It's decision by decision, action by action. So even if you're still in a 9-to-5 job, or even if you're not working right now and you're a stay-at-home mom and you know you want to get out into the run your own business eventually, start making decisions without asking anybody else's opinion. That's one thing you can do. Stop looking around for permission and just say, I'll figure this out. I've got the agency. I'm resourceful. I'm going to figure this out. Stop looking to everyone to ask, what do you think? What's your insight? Can you give me advice? See how much you can do in making decisions on your own and then start to unboss yourself. And once you do, and the business starts to thrive, then you're going to be in boss mode so that you'll take people in to help you build that business like we talked about. So you're not in that superwoman syndrome.
Yeah. What you're describing is you've got to do something that is scalable.
Yes.
If not, you're working like a babysitter or some job where you're just selling your time.
Exactly.
And when you hit a ceiling of how many hours you have available, then you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to do something where it can be working for you when you're not in harness every minute of every day. You got to have something that's working for you when you're not necessarily in harness.
Yes.
That's something that you figured out when you began to do a digital course, right? You didn't have to be there live. You had a digital course.
Yes, let's talk about that. So I always talk about being very careful to build a business long-term where you're trading time for dollars. Because when you're trading time for dollars, like you said, there's only so much time in a day that you can work in your business. So there's only so much money that you will make. So like when I first started out and I was doing social media for small businesses, there's only so much money I could make because it was just me. And then I brought on one team member, still only so much we could make. But then when I decided, wait a second, I'm going to take what I know, put it into a digital course, and it will be one me to many. I could sell it to as many people as I need to, and I don't have to show up to support them every minute of the day. And that is when the business started to explode because I realized how to scale. So in my book, 2 Weeks Notice, I talk a lot about different business models you can create that will allow you to scale, not just digital courses. You could do memberships. You could do group coaching. You could do masterminds. There's so many different things you could do that are one to many. But sometimes you have to start out with one-to-one, exactly how I did, just to get your feet wet. I'm a big proponent of baby steps because I know if I make it too complicated, I wouldn't have moved forward and neither will my students. But over time, we've got to move into a model that will scale.
You started out, your first one didn't work very well at all.
Yeah. No, let's talk about that real fast because it was a disaster. So here I went out on my own and I thought, I'm going to make $100,000 with my first digital course launch because I looked at social media and it looked like everybody else was making millions of dollars online. Remember, we only see their highlight reel, but I looked around and thought, okay, they're all making money. I should too. So I put this expectation on myself, put out my first digital course and made $267. And I hate to admit this to you, I cried for a week. I didn't want to get out of bed. I told myself I wasn't meant to be an entrepreneur. Look, here's proof. I can't do this. I need to go back to my job because it was a huge failure. But in that moment, coming back to what I mentioned earlier, I knew what my why was. I did not want a boss. And so I better get my butt out there and figure this out, or else I'm going to have a boss again. So that desire to not want to have a boss kind of pushed me back out there. And the next time I launched a course, I made $10,000. And I thought, okay, this isn't the salary I was making at my last 9-to-5 job, but we're getting somewhere. The next time I did it, $30,000. And I remember that day, I thought I was the richest woman on the planet. I could not believe what I was able to do, and things started to kind of click. A year from that date, I made $950,000 with one digital course launch. And that's when I thought, okay, now game on, we got this. But it took me 3 years to figure that out. That's another thing. None of this is going to happen overnight. But my question is, how bad do you want it? And are you willing to stick with it?